Hello. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's lesson in beginner English. I'll just wait a little bit longer before we get underway, before we get started. Not too long, though, because it is recorded after all. So, before we really get underway, let's just start with our numbers. Back to our numbers. Okay, so we know that everyone can count to 10, but let's count to 20 beginning with 11. Okay, ready? 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Very good. Now, let's count from 20 all the way down to 1. Ready? So we have 20, 19, 18, 17, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Awesome. Very good. Okay, so last week we worked on the alphabet. Today we are going to continue with the alphabet. But speaking of today, what day is it today? So the day of the week is always Wednesday, at least for our lessons, always on Wednesday. But the number today is 19. The month, who can tell me what month it is? What month is it? Yes, very good. It is November. So the number is 19 and the month is November. So we can say today is November 19th, 2025. Very good. Let's do that one more time. So, November 19th, 2025. Very good. So, I'll ask you, what is the date? Awesome. Very good. Okay, so last week we worked on the alphabet. We looked at all 26 letters and the sounds that each letter makes. Today, we are going to look at an alphabet book. It is called A Prairie Alphabet. Don't worry, I will be sharing my screen, but this is a cool book for me because when I was very young, I lived in Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan is one of the prairie provinces. So for me, this book is kind of like my childhood. Okay, so let's share our screen and let's look at a prairie alphabet. Should be visible. This was last week's alphabet. Looks like it's visible. Perfect. So, this is what we looked at last week, right? Every single letter of the alphabet. Before we look at a prairie alphabet, let's just sing our ABCs one time. Okay? Okay. To warm us up. So we have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Now I know my ABCs. Next time, won't you sing with me? Awesome. Perfect. Okay, so I think we are ready for a prairie alphabet. Okay, so a prairie alphabet. I wonder if I can use these arrows. Oh, I can. Perfect. I'm going to try and get rid of this. Just one more time. Maybe not. Well, that's okay. Okay. So, a prairie alphabet. A prairie alphabet. Ironically, from a library in Minnesota. So, not even Canada. Okay. So, the first letter of the alphabet is A. A is for we auction our Aberdeen Angus at Agribition. Okay. And Angus, right? Angus is another word for this animal right here. What animal is this? Yes, very good. This is a cow. A cow. So we hear that word cow. What letter do we think cow starts with? Yes, it starts with a C. It starts with a C. If you said K, I understand why you thought it was K, but it starts with a C. A C. And here, this word is auction. To auction something means to sell it. We are selling it for whoever wants to pay the most money. The most money. And you can see all these banners, all these banners, lots of Saskatchewan banners, some wheat, SK for Saskatchewan. This says Regina, which is the capital of Saskatchewan. And then I think everyone might recognize this Shell gas station, of course. And here we have a Canadian flag. We also notice this right here. This is a pool logo. Pool for the Saskatchewan wheat pool. We will see the Saskatchewan wheat pool a little later on. Okay, so on to our next letter of the alphabet, which is the letter B. B is for our Belgians, Bill and Bob, bed in the barn. So one more time. Our Belgians, Bill and Bob, bed in the barn. So, our Belgians, we're talking about these animals right here. What are these two animals right here called? Very good. Yes, they are called horses. Horses. They are Belgian horses. So, horses, that starts with an H. Remember how to pronounce our H's? Right? If we have difficulty, if it is too hard to pronounce the H, take in a deep breath and we exhale, we breathe out. Horse. And we use that breath to make our H for horse. Horse. Yes. So the horses, their names are Bill and Bob. So maybe this is Bill, maybe this is Bob, or maybe this is Bob and this is Bill. We don't know. We don't know. So, and this big red building, building is called a barn. A barn. A barn is where animals sleep. They sleep in the barn. We see barns on farms. And right here we have the word bed, right? So we know what a bed is. For humans, we sleep on a bed. We sleep on a bed. So when we say the horses bed in the barn, it means that the horses sleep in the barn. The horses sleep in the barn. There are a couple other animals in this picture. Does anyone know what this is? Maybe I can zoom in a little bit. Can I zoom in here? Ooh, I can. What animal is this right here? Very good. That is a cat. That is a cat. And cat starts with the letter C. We also have another animal right here. Let's get a closer look. Okay, so this is a goat. This is a goat. G, 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 goat. What letter of the alphabet does goat start with? Yes, very good. It's a G. G for goat. Awesome. Okay, so now we have our next letter, C. C is for Craig sees a combine clearing a crop of canola. So Craig, we're talking about this boy right here, this person. That is Craig. So Craig sees a combine, right? A combine is this machine right here. This is a combine. Let's see if it's bigger. There we go. This is a combine. It's clearing a crop of canola. So to clear it, it's clearing it. See all this? There's lots of grass right here, grass here, and here, there's nothing. It's just dirt. That's because the combine cleared it. There's no more. And a crop of canola. So canola, it's like talking about wheat, kind of like this right here. And a crop of canola just means a group, a bunch, a handful. And speaking of C's, we see on the bag, it says co-op. Co-op is a really popular grocery store in the prairies. So, just like how Walmart used to have plastic bags that would say Walmart, this is a co op bag from the grocery store called Co op. We see a couple more animals in this picture. What animal is this? Very good. That is a dog. It's a dog. Dog. What letter of the alphabet does dog start with? Yes, very good. It's a D. D for dog. And one more C word we have here. Can we see what Craig is putting in the bag? Craig is putting, see this right here? And there's one on the ground. He is putting cans of Coca-Cola in a bag, right? So another C word, we have can, a can, one can, two cans. We have one can here, two cans here, and it looks like there's a third can right here. And the pop that he's drinking also starts with C. Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola. Or just Coke. Coca-Cola. Or Coke for short. Oh, and here we even have the artist Yvette Moore, who wrote her name. C is also for copyright. There are C's everywhere. Copyright 1991. That just means no one can steal her picture. No one can steal her picture. There we go. Okay, so after C, we have our next letter of the alphabet, which is the letter D. D is for Dan discovers deer drinking at the dugout at dawn. Let's get a closer look. So we have Dan. Oh, that was not what I wanted to do. That's okay. We'll just go back to main screen or the full screen. Okay, so Dan. This is Dan. Dan. Dan discovers, right? So it's another way of saying Dan finds or Dan sees. He sees deer. These are deer. Let's get a closer look at the deer. It's very clear. I like it. These are deer. Oh, and here we have a couple other animals. These are birds. Birds, because they fly. And these birds are called ducks. Ducks. So another D word right here. Maybe we can say Dan discovers deer and ducks. But Dan discovers deer drinking, right? So this is a lot of water right here. And the deer are drinking. They're drinking at the dugout. So this area right here is called a dugout, right? The land is a little lower, and that's how water can fill the sunken land. They're drinking at the dugout at dawn. Dawn. So dawn, that means really early in the morning, right? So just before sunrise, you have dawn. And the opposite of dawn is called dusk. Dusk. And dusk is right before the sun sets. So you have dawn really early in the morning, and then you have dusk. Well, dusk is after the sun sets, but before it's totally black, before it's nighttime. So no sun, but it's there's still some daylight. Another D, daylight. And dawn is before the sun rises, but you can still see, right? So dawn before the sun goes up, and then dusk, right, kind of after the sun goes down, but you can still see. Dawn and dusk. So Dan discovers deer drinking at the dugout at dawn. Looks like there are some more animals right here. Let's get a closer look. Right, so here we see our deer again. This looks like a pile of rocks. And, ooh, yes, I think we know exactly what animal these are, right? This is the animal that the book called Angus. But more commonly known as cows, right? And another C word right here. We have the thing that clears the crops. It's called a combine. And this is the dugout right here. Very pretty blue water. The ducks are swimming. The deer are drinking. And there's even a little dock, another D word, dock, for humans to run, and jump in the water to go swimming. And yes, so that is our D word or our D sentence. And here is another really pretty picture. This is the letter E. E is for the engine pulls empty cars up to the elevators. So, the engine, we're talking about this train right here. And, well, kind of more like here, but we can also call a train an engine. And it's pulling empty cars up the elevator, up to the elevators. This right here is a grain elevator belonging to the Saskatchewan wheat pool. The Saskatchewan wheat pool. This is also very sort of specific to me because my grandpa worked for the Saskatchewan wheat pool. And here we even have another E word, the small town of Eyebrow, Saskatchewan. Eyebrow, that's a real part of the body. An eyebrow is on your face. Can you point to your eyebrow? This is your eyebrow right here. Eyebrow. One eyebrow, two eyebrows. Very nice. And here we have the kids that are waving. They're waving. And here, a little difficult to see, but this is an empty car. There's an empty car right here as well. Empty car. So maybe these are the empty cars that are going up to the grain elevator. And there's co-op again, just like the grocery bag that the boy had. Use pool co-op flour. Not talking about the flour that grows from the ground, the flour that we cook with, the white stuff. Okay. So, the engine pulls empty cars up to the elevators. Okay. Now, let's look at our next letter, the letter F. F is for our family grows food to feed families far away. Right. Our family. So this right here, this is a family, right? In a family, you have the people that you live with, you know, often your mom, your dad, maybe you have brothers or sisters. That's your immediate family, right? And then you might have grandparents, Your grandma, grandpa, also part of the family. Aunts, uncles, cousins, all part of the family. Our family grows food. Food. So the stuff that we eat, that is food. To feed families. Right? So here we have family. We have one family and two families. So our family grows food to feed. Again, so these families can eat. Grow food so other families can eat. But not just families that are close to us, not just other families in Saskatchewan, but families far away. Lots of other families. Yeah. So here we have the family gathered together. They're eating another can of Coca-Cola here. Here we go. And a typical Saskatchewan landscape with another combine in the background. So, everyone knows the word family, right? Family. Who do you have in your family? So, in your family, do you have any brothers? Okay, and do you have any sisters? I have no sisters. I do not have sisters. Okay, so moving on to our next letter. We have the letter G. Here we go. G. Ooh, I'll zoom out a little bit. Want to get those Canada geese in there. Gophers gaze at geese flying over the grassland. Okay, so we have gophers gaze at geese flying over the grassland. So gophers, that's an animal. These are gophers right here. There are a lot of gophers in Saskatchewan. Gophers live underground. So the gophers are gazing. So to gaze is to look. To look. The gophers are looking at the geese. These are Canada geese. How many Canada geese are there? Very good. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Very good. So the gophers gaze at geese flying over the grassland. Right, we see all this grass right here, all this green stuff, the green grass. It's all grassland. But it is not just the gophers that are gazing at the geese. These two people, these two girls, another G word, girls, these two girls are also gazing at the geese. See, this girl is pointing to the geese, while this girl, she has a pair of binoculars. She's looking at the geese through her binoculars. So, That was our G word, our G sentence. How many G words do you see in the sentence? So we have gophers, gaze, geese, and grassland. So how many G words do we have? Very good. We have four. We have four G words, just like our four geese. Okay, so that is all the time we have for today, but we can keep reading next week and we'll look at a prairie alphabet. Okay, and I'll stop sharing. Perfect. So for next week, we'll continue looking at a prairie alphabet, the letter H. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed today's lesson, and I will see you next week. Goodbye. Goodbye.